She was a YouTuber like me. She was just doing her thing, giving advice to not one, not two, but almost 3 million subscribers on parenting. She would give advice to millions of parents out there about raising children. But what was really going on inside the family of Ruby Franke? Let's find out right now. Wicked Wednesday, my Cajun cuties. How are y'all today? Yes, it's me, Anne Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carrico, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that y'all like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. I hope you'll have a beverage. I hope you'll have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best, and y'all are ready to hear a crime story with me, yours truly. I also hope that y'all had a wonderful Easter and that y'all got to spend it with family and friends. I hope y'all found some Easter eggs. Over here down in Louisiana, we paquet eggs. And when I say paquet eggs, I'm sure that's kind of foreign to a lot of y'all. Like, what are you talking about, paquet eggs? But basically, we each have an egg and we put them on top of each other, a hard-boiled egg, and see which one we play paquet, and we keep trying to crack each other's eggs, and whoever wins, wins the paquet egg. It's just a big deal for Easter, and Easter's a wonderful holiday, and I'm glad that all of y'all came back to see me today. And I want to tell y'all that I'm feeling much better. I'm just still a little under the weather. I'm not all the way okay, but I'm slowly getting better. I'm drinking my water, and I hope y'all are drinking y'all water too. And I hope y'all are getting those tickers up. I hope y'all going for a nice little walk. I want to tell y'all, even if y'all just start taking the stairs instead of the elevator, even if y'all just go for a little brisk walk after lunch, anything y'all can do to get those tickers up, trust me, y'all gonna feel so much better. Y'all gonna have more energy. It's gonna raise your smile. Remember, a smile increases your face value. And I just want to tell y'all all to stay healthy and stay happy. Now, who are we going to discuss today? We are going to discuss someone that I despise. Despise is not even the word for it, okay? But we are going to be speaking about former YouTuber Ruby Franke. Ruby Franke was doing her thing, y'all. She had almost 3 million subscribers. She named her channel 8 Passengers. She had 6 children. It was her and her husband and her 6 children, and she would discuss parenting. Now, Ruby Franke was just crazy popular on her parenting. But when y'all find out what she did to her children and how she treated them, and what she made them do, there is no way this woman, in my opinion, should ever get out of jail. Because the way she treated her babies, you don't treat anyone the way she treated her kids. And in my opinion, she is exactly where she needs to be. Ruby Franke was born January 18th, 1982 in Utah. She married Kevin Franke, who was the love of her life, and they had 6 beautiful children. Y'all, this family looked like they stepped out of a magazine. Gorgeous family, gorgeous children, always had a smile on their face. So Ruby decided to start a YouTube channel in early of 2015 to document her life in Utah with her husband and her 6 kids, called 8 Passengers. And by 2020, she had almost 3 million followers and over 1 billion views. Y'all, I can only dream of that. That is a YouTuber's dream, to have that many subscribers, that many followers, that many views, and she was doing it. She was giving advice to parents. She was showing parents how to parent. She was showing punishments. But her YouTube channel started declining in 2021 when people started noticing that she was very strict on her children and did some very weird things. And this person came forward and collected 18,000 signatures because they wanted Ruby to kind of be investigated to see what was going on in her home, because a lot of people didn't agree with what she was doing with her children. And I'm going to give y'all some examples right now, because some of the things that Ruby Franke did to her kids was absolutely terrible. Things I wouldn't dream of doing to my children. I wouldn't even dream of doing some of these things to my worst enemy, which I don't have any enemies. I love everyone. But I'm just saying, I don't understand how a mother can do some of these things to her child. One of the things that struck me was she banned her teenage son from his room for 7 months and made him sleep on a beanbag. This is a teenage son that's growing, that needs to thrive, that needs to sleep, that has to go to school. He was in the living room on a beanbag. Who does that? And banning him from his room. What did he do that was so bad that he had to sleep on a beanbag and be banned from his own room? This is a teenage child. Another thing is she would threaten to cut off her little girl's stuffed animals' heads. She would tell her, I'm going to behead your stuffed animal. And she would document all of this. She would make her kids work in the hot sun all day. If they forgot their lunch, she would say, oh, well, they're just going to have to be hungry. And that's just a little bit of it. I'm going to tell y'all more. But people started noticing what she was doing to her children. And that's when her YouTube channel started declining. And that is when people wanted to collect signatures for Ruby and her family to be investigated, because something wasn't right and people were noticing. In 2022, the Frankes decided to separate. Ruby shut down her YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, where she had almost 3 million subscribers, and she decided to go work for a company called Connections as a mental health coach. Who was this company run by? A monster. Not just any monster, a monster that should have never been in contact with anyone. And her name is Jodi Hildebrandt. Jodi Hildebrandt is a former licensed counselor. In 2007, Jodi founded the relationship business counseling Business Connections. In 2012, her license was put on probation for 18 months after she disclosed sensitive, confidential information about a client. Ruby was seeking marriage counseling when she met Jodi. That's how they ended up meeting and working together. Now, Kevin moved out the house in 2022. And when Kevin moved out the house in 2022, it was said he had a porn addiction, and Jodi asked him to go seek help for his porn addiction, which he should have. If you have any kind of addiction, I totally agree that you should seek the help that you need. You should get counseling, anything you can do to get you out of that. And I am going to tell y'all right now that addiction is very hard to get over, but people do it every day. And if anybody can do it, you can do it. And like I always tell y'all, I'm here for all of y'all. If y'all ever need, y'all could email me, y'all could inbox me, y'all can message me. I'm here if y'all just need to talk, anything that y'all need. Getting back to Ruby Franke, Jodi told Kevin, you cannot see your kids. And the only way that you can speak to your wife, Ruby, is if she contacts you. I'm going to pause right there. Yeah. There is not a person that was born that would tell me, Anne-Marie, I can't see my kids. My spouse doesn't want to talk to me. My boyfriend doesn't want to talk to me. My girlfriend doesn't want to talk to me. My friend doesn't want to talk to me. I'm going to tell y'all this. That's fine. Y'all don't want to talk to me. That's fine. But no one is going to tell me I can't see my babies. No. No one. No one has been born that will tell me when I can and can't see my kids. Those are my kids. Those are my life. But Kevin thought, hey, Jodi's our marriage counselor. This is what I have to listen to what she says because she knows best. All of a sudden, Jodi moves in the house, and before they separate, Jodi is going on anniversary dinners with Ruby and Kevin. Never heard of that. I've never heard of a marriage counselor moving into the house. I've never heard of a marriage counselor going to dinners and functions with her clients. It just doesn't make sense to me. But Jodi is a snake, in my opinion. And she wanted to get her hooks into Ruby because she wanted to control Ruby. She wanted to manipulate Ruby because she knew that Ruby had all of these followers on social media and she wanted to get in the mix of things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jodi later, but when I tell you, Jodi weaseled herself into Kevin and Ruby Franke's life and marriage. On August 30th of 2023, a neighbor gets a knock on the door. He sees this little boy, he's around 12 years old, and he says, "Sir, can you do me 2 favors?" And he said, "Well, just one." He said, "Can you bring me to the closest police station?" I need all of y'all to bear with me because when I talk about the next part, it is hard for me because I'm already sensitive, you know? I'm already very sensitive, and it's hard for me to talk about abuse. But it's especially hard for me to talk about abuse when it comes to children, animals, people, anyone. But when it comes to a child that the wounds were inflicted by his own mother, it is very heartbreaking to me. The neighbor sits this little boy down and said, "Buddy, tell me what's going on." They give him water. They give him food. They find that he has tape around his ankles. His wrists are blistered. He's extremely emaciated. He's bony. His clothes are falling off. He doesn't have any shoes on. It is absolutely terrible. And when the man makes the 911 call, the neighbor, you hear his voice cracking. You hear the man starting to cry. And when the ambulance shows up, one of the EMTs says, "I'm about to start crying." This is how heartbreaking it was. This little boy had jumped through a window and escaped and did whatever he could to get help, to go and find a police officer that would help him. And while they examine him, they put him in the ambulance. They're picking up his leg. They're moving him around. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't make a noise. His pain tolerance is so incredibly high that he does not feel what they're doing to him. He thinks everything is okay, but it's not. And as they're speaking to him, he's telling them, "Yes, I jumped out this window." So the police, they don't need a search warrant. They go straight to the house that they came from. And who does the house belong to? Jodi Hildebrandt. And y'all, the whole SWAT team gets to the house. They have a whole team, which is so awesome. They are going in there and they go and see what the heck is going on. Let me show you how she answers the door when the police get there. "I have my lawyer on the phone." "Yes, I'm on the phone with my lawyer." And you know what they tell her? "That's great, get out." Like, who cares if you're on the phone with your lawyer? Tell your lawyer I said hi, get the hell out the house because we need to come in there because a child just came from your house that is severely abused and neglected and emaciated and bony. And they figure out as they're walking around the house, they're going from closet to closet, room to room in this 10,000 square foot home. This is not a regular house, 10,000 square feet. And they find this little child, emaciated, scared to death with a shaved head, sitting in a closet, crisscross applesauce, scared as hell, doesn't know what's going on. The police get in there. They sit with the child. Meanwhile, at the hospital, they asked the little boy, they said, "Do you have a sibling? Do you have a little brother?" He says, "No, I have a 9-year-old little sister at the house that I hadn't seen in over a month." Y'all, my heart broke when he said that. He hasn't seen his sister, who that's the child in the closet with the shaved head was his sister. She was so hungry that they gave her a large pizza and she ate the whole pizza and she drank a shake. She drank a drink. She started kind of opening up and said, "Where's Jodi? Is she going to come in here?" She was so worried to know where Jodi was and so scared and terrified. This whole thing is heartbreaking. While police are conducting the search, it is a house of torture. Remember, the little boy had lacerations around his wrist and ankles, and his ankles had duct tape around them, and they were marked. I mean, you could tell something was digging into his skin with the lacerations. Cops find rope and handcuffs. As they were interviewing the little boy, he opened up a lot. You could tell he was ready to get the hell out of that house and reveal the story of what he was going through. And some of the things he said that he would have to do was carry boxes up the stairs for hours, heavy boxes. This is a 12-year-old little boy carrying boxes all day up the stairs. They would make him stand outside in the sun for 10, 12 hours while his own mother would poke him with a cactus. His own mother. Now remember, we're in Utah, okay, in the heat of summer in August, and he was standing outside in the heat. They said it was about 110 degrees for 10 to 12 hours. They also would make the children, Ruby and Jodi would make the children pick up weeds in this cemetery barefoot in the middle of summer. The 9-year-old said that she had to steal water. She was constantly trying to steal water because she said that she was always, if she had to brush her teeth or take a shower, anything, she would try to drink water. They wouldn't allow her. They had to watch everything the kids were doing. And that is just heartbreaking to me. The little boy also said that they would dress their wounds with cayenne pepper and honey, which I don't understand why, but that's what he told the investigators. It was very, very heartbreaking to know that these two little children were pretty much in a torture chamber. The things they had to do, but in my opinion, one of the worst things they had to do was jump on a trampoline in the dead of summer in 110-degree weather for hours and hours, 10, 12, 14 hours, just jump on a trampoline, which who knew that a trampoline could be a torture device. But as we all know, a trampoline is black. And when the police got to the house, they found evidence that the little boy had been sweating on the trampoline. You see the staining of the trampoline in the evidence, and it is so very sad. While police are searching the house, guess who comes in? Ruby Franke herself says nothing, sits on the couch with her dress and her little cardigan and is just sitting there. Doesn't ask where her children are, doesn't ask how her children are, doesn't ask what's going on. Because as parents, all of us would be like, where's my children? Oh my gosh, I don't understand what's going on. You're telling me they were tortured. But she knew, in my opinion, she couldn't get out of it. She knew she was busted and Jodi was busted. And when they took her down to the police station and they wanted to question her, every time they would ask Ruby a question, this was her. Just blinking. Wouldn't say anything, just blinking. Like, what does that mean? Because I can blink too. What are you trying to say when I ask you a question? Finally, she lawyered up. She wanted a lawyer. She was not speaking. She didn't say anything. Her and Jodi were arrested on 6 counts of child abuse, and they were held without bail, which is amazing and great. And y'all, this ain't Jodi's first rodeo. No, let me tell y'all this. She had a niece, Jodi Hildebrandt, her brother's daughter. And when Jodi was 15, she went to go live with Jodi just by chance. She said her and her family went down to her grandparents' like 50th wedding anniversary, but she was given trouble at her own house, so her family decided to leave her there with her grandparents and Jodi. And Jodi got a hold of her little 15-year-old niece back in 2009, made her shave her head, would put duct tape around her mouth, would make her not speak to anyone, would make her write out all of her sins. This is a 15-year-old little girl. She told Jodi that she couldn't go to school. She would make Jodi go to her work for about 12, 14 hours a day in the basement, okay? And one of Jodi's co-workers saw the little girl one day in the basement and was like, what's this little girl doing here? And Jodi was real agitated, basically like, mind your business, don't worry about it. The lady felt so bad for the little girl because it was cold down in the basement. So the lady left a jacket just hanging in there and just wanted so badly to help this little girl because she felt this little girl needed some type of help. And Jodi, Jodi's niece, said that if they would go places, if someone tried to speak to her, Jodi would tell her, don't open your mouth, just look at them in the eyes, don't say anything, don't respond, do not speak to anyone about anything. And she did. And she had to sleep outside in the snow. She would try to run away, but couldn't. She even thought about ways of ending her life. That's how bad it was. There's something wrong with Jodi Hildebrandt. Like she's messed up in the head or something. You do not do this to children. I mean, let alone your own niece, your brother's daughter. And where was the brother and his wife? They were just allowing this to happen, and the grandparents? Finally, she ran away to a homeless shelter and got away. And she is thriving now. She's a tattoo artist. She is a singer. She's doing her thing. And she came out okay. But she did have to open up these wounds because she did make contact with the police about what was going on. Because her story mirrored Ruby Franke's children. It really did. And Ruby Franke and her kids were living with Jodi, and sometimes Jodi would live with them. So all of this stuff that's going on with Jodi and Ruby, Jodi said all of this happened to me. So this is definitely going on. This is definitely Jodi. And Ruby just was like a little puppet and just followed Jodi's moves and thought everything was okay, but it wasn't. Now, in the meantime, while all of this is going on, the little boy, Ruby's little boy, the 12-year-old, was sleeping outside. And one night he escaped and left a message in rocks. And the message said, jail, I'll call when I get there. Ruby and Jodi had told the children that they were possessed and evil, and if they wanted forgiveness, that's why they had to do all of this work and this punishment. It was either that or jail. He was so desperate to get out of this punishment, of this torture, that he said to himself, hey, I'd rather go to jail than be here with y'all. I'd rather go to jail than have all this torture. And that's what's heartbreaking. That's what's sad. This little 12-year-old would rather be in a jail cell than living free in all this torture. Another thing that happened, you remember I told you Ruby had 2 adult kids? Well, her daughter had contacted the police and CPS several times, stating that her siblings were being left alone, that no one was watching them, but nothing had came about it. Nothing had happened. There was no arrest or no investigation. So when Ruby and Jodi were arrested, Ruby's oldest daughter, Sherry Franke, posted on social media as they were getting arrested, finally, which it takes a lot of guts for a daughter to do that to her mother, but she had had enough. That was her siblings, and they were being tortured, and she knew something wasn't right. I straight up asked my oldest daughter, Anna Catherine, who's 18. I asked her, I said, Anna Catherine, if you knew that I was abusing your siblings, would you have called the cops? She said, absolutely, and I would have been okay with you going to jail for it, which I applaud her for that, because she knows no one's going to mess with her baby sister, not even her own mother, which is a good thing. You do not want any child to be tortured. But get this, when they searched the home, they found that Ruby had kept a journal, a day-to-day journal, documenting everything that was going on. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, this is what we had for dinner. This is what I did today. I planted some roses. Oh, no, it was about the torture. Saying how, oh, her daughter would stand outside for hours and she was acting like it was so hot and she was so pitiful. She also stated how she would use a cactus poker to poke them. But the worst thing a mother can write is they were planning, Jodi and Ruby were planning to move to Arizona, which is just as hot. And they were going to have this ranch style home with no neighbors around. And Ruby wrote in her journal, we are going to move to Arizona and drop the kids off like hot potatoes. What the hell? I'm guessing that meant she was going to make the kids work more in the heat. I don't know, but that is a horrible thing to say. And I believe that if they would have moved there, the torture would have continued and maybe even gotten worse, which I don't know how it can get worse, but I'm sure it could have gotten worse. But those children were saved just in time. Ruby and Jodi pled guilty to 4 counts of child neglect and abuse. They were sentenced to 4 to 30 years in prison, which I am very happy about. And I hope that they stay there for the entire 30 years because they deserve to be in there, in my opinion, for the rest of their life, because what they did to those children were horrible. But they are in jail right now, and that is exactly where they need to be for inflicting this type of torture, abuse, and pain on these innocent children. Ruby's husband, Kevin, has filed for divorce and is working to get all 4 of his children back. And he is doing his thing. He's rebuilding his relationship with all 6 of his children. My final thought, you know, I always give y'all my final thought. My final thought is I think that Jodi Hildebrandt saw the opportunity to manipulate and control Ruby Franke and her husband, Kevin. And she wanted to get her hooks in them to gain control over everything. She knew their social media access. She knew everything about the family and wanted to work her way inside that home. And once she was inside that home, she controlled everything. Kevin and Ruby separated. The kids were being tortured. Ruby was a whole different person. But Ruby said that when she was away from Jodi, when she was in jail, that is when she realized the injuries that she had inflicted on her children and how bad it was. And she was starting to flip against Jodi. And a lot of people have came to me and said, yeah, but Anne Marie, if it wasn't for Jodi, Ruby wouldn't have done the things that she did to her kids. So it's mostly Jodi. No, that is not true, because I don't care who you are. Like I said a while ago earlier in the video, no man, no woman, no parent, no friend, no one would ever tell me what to do with my children, especially beat them up and torture them. No, that would never happen. So I do blame Ruby. Jodi's just as much to blame, trust me, even more. But your kids, you're going to put your kids in that type of danger, and for what? Because you're telling a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old that they're possessed and evil and they need to repent and all this stuff? No, you do not torture children. You do not torture anyone for that matter. Animals, people, children, babies, no one. You do not inflict pain on anyone. But another thing that I found weird is while Ruby was in jail, she called her husband and would say things like, I'm not a naughty girl. I don't do bad things. Who speaks that way? What are you, 5? She goes, I didn't know that having a child sleep on the floor was child abuse. You weren't making your kids just sleep on the floor. They're not going to arrest you because your kid was sleeping on the floor. What they will arrest you for is all this pain that you were putting your kids through, and this torture and the abuse and the blisters and the rope and the handcuffs and depriving them of food. That they will put you in jail for that. So Ruby Franke, to me, is just as evil as Jodi Hildebrandt, and they are exactly where they need to be. And I just want to thank y'all all for tuning into this video. I hope after this video that y'all like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. I hope you'll have a good day. I want y'all to stay safe, and I want y'all to always remain happy. Be aware of your surroundings. Stay healthy. Make sure you drink that water. Make sure you get those tickers up because we want to live forever. Thank y'all again for all y'all love and support. I love all of y'all very much. And as always, stay safe. Bye.